Today, we're going to explore a topic that, let's be honest, is often surrounded by a lot of mystery and maybe some bad information. We're doing an explainer based on the incredible work of relationship expert Dr. John Gottman, and we're calling it Her Body is a Wonderland.
And, this beautiful quote from E. E. Cummings, it just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? It's all about connection, about two people creating something entirely new together. Because before we dive into any of the anatomy, we have to start right there, with the foundation of real intimacy.
All right, first up, and this is maybe the most important part, passion begins in the mind. The journey to physical pleasure, well, it doesn't begin where you might think it does. This is the big secret, right here. A woman's capacity for true, mind-blowing ecstasy, it starts in her head and in her heart. You can have all the technical skill in the world, but if her mind isn't engaged and she doesn't feel connected to you, those nerve endings just aren't going to light up. So it all boils down to this one crucial word, attunement. She needs to feel connected to even begin to feel desire. She has to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally too. And as her partner, you have this incredible opportunity to create that space for her, a place where she feels safe enough to be vulnerable and open to pleasure. Okay, so let's shift gears a little. We've talked about the why, that emotional connection, but what about the what? This brings us to a pretty surprising knowledge gap that a lot of people have. And I mean, think about it for a second. How well do you really know it? The source material for this actually pointed to a BuzzFeed quiz where a ton of adult men, and hey, a lot of women too, couldn't label a basic diagram of female anatomy. So look, there's absolutely no judgment here. This is just a chance for all of us to learn something. And this cartoon, it just nails it, doesn't it? I think a lot of people feel like Colin here, trying to navigate this amazing, complex landscape without a map, or worse, with a faulty GPS. It can feel confusing, maybe even a little intimidating. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be. So let's get you a better map. Think of this next part as our own little guided tour of Wonderland, an exploration of the key landmarks you're going to want to know about. First stop is the Mons Venus. That's Latin for Mount of Venus, which is pretty cool. It's that padded area right on top of the pubic bone. And funny enough, the source material notes that Brazilians have had a massive cultural impact on two things: soccer and, well, the modern grooming of the Mons. Okay, next up, we have the labia, which is just Latin for lips. You've got two sets, the outer ones, the labia majora, and the inner ones, the labia minora. Now here's a key thing to know. When a woman is aroused, these can actually swell to several times their original size. It's a beautiful, natural signal that she's getting turned on. And here we are at a very, very important landmark, the clitoris. It's this incredible bundle of nerve endings, and it's protected by a little hood. Now get this, it has just as many nerve endings as the head of a penis, but all packed into a much, much smaller area. So yeah, this is why it's pretty much the surest path to orgasm for most women. This little diagram really helps put it all together. You can see how those inner lips form a kind of protective hood right over the clitoris. Just understanding this basic map, it's a huge first step. Which brings us to this fantastic concept from the source material: the difference between being a hero and a zero. A hero can find the clitoris. But just as important, a hero isn't afraid to ask for directions if they get a little lost. It's all about communication. Okay, moving inward, let's talk about the vagina. And this structure is just incredible. Its walls are made of these folds that let it expand and contract to fit, well, anything from a finger to a baby's head. When a woman's aroused, the inner two-thirds of the vagina actually balloon out. It's pretty amazing. And inside the vagina, there are these other potential pleasure zones you've probably heard about. Of course, there's the famous G-spot named after Dr. Ernst Grafenberg. It's this ridged area of tissue that swells up when she's aroused. But there's also the deeper A-spot and the U-spot. They're all part of the landscape to explore. This side view diagram really helps give us the full picture. See how the external clitoris and the internal G-spot are related? It's just below the pubic bone. It really helps you understand how all these different parts are connected and how they work together. So we've covered the key sexual anatomy, but here is the absolute biggest takeaway from the source material. All of that is just a tiny, tiny fraction of the story. So let's talk about the other 99%.
Yeah, that's right.
99%. All that specific anatomy we just went over, that's barely 1% of what actually turns a woman on. The real Wonderland is her entire body.
A hero gets this. A hero knows her erogenous zones are everywhere. It's stroking her hair, kissing her neck, her shoulders, the small of her back, her thighs, even the palm of her hand. Her skin is sensitive to the slightest touch. To really make love to a woman, you have to make love to her whole body.
So how do we put this all together? How do you go from just knowing this stuff to actually, doing it? Let's break down exactly how to be a hero. This cheat sheet for heroes really is the perfect summary. It all comes down to this. Connect with her mind first to create that emotional safety. Explore her whole body, not just the obvious spots, and communicate. Ask for directions. Be curious. It's that simple. And on the flip side, here are the things to avoid. You might be a zero if you ignore her mind and that feeling of safety. If you think pleasure only happens below the waist. If you ignore the clitoris, or if you never ask for help. It's really all about being an attentive, curious, and communicative partner. And here it is, the ultimate takeaway. The big, open secret. This is not a one-sided thing. When you truly take the time to learn what gives her pleasure, your own pleasure is going to increase exponentially. I mean, it is the ultimate win-win. In the end, it all comes back to that one word we started with, attunement. The key is just to tune into her, to let go of any expectations, and to simply enjoy the journey of discovery together. So the only question left is, are you ready to explore?